So today I thought we'd talk about some Star Wars Battlefront, and it appears that everybody who has ever done YouTube ever is talking about this game right now, and that's probably due to the fact that at Gamescom we saw even more about the game. It's heading towards that final November-based stretch where they try release a very slim amount of details but keep people alert and kind of interested enough to be excited in the game for that kind of duration of time. Now, we're finally hitting into the final kind of conventions of the year. We have Gamescom, and then we have EGX and PAX Prime as well, and basically that's it. Most of the games conventions will be finished by the time the game comes out, and I think we won't see anything particularly new about Star Wars Battlefront for a good amount of time to come. We might hear a few new features here and there, but principally this is what we've got to play with. And today in this video I thought we'd talk about the three main things that everybody seems to be interested in and talking about quite significantly on YouTube. And these three topics are the casualness of the game, the visuals of the game, and of course the amount of content that will actually be in Star Wars Battlefront. And I feel like these are the most adequate ones that people are talking about right now, and I kind of wanted to weigh in what I feel about it, but also what others from Gamescom have been telling me and letting me know from what they've actually played. Now, as many of you know, I have actually played Star Wars Battlefront. I was involved in a closed alpha, but unfortunately I'm not allowed to talk about any of my personal experience due to an NDA. I don't know if that will lift or if it will ever lift, but essentially I can only really talk from what we've seen from the trailers and what people at Gamescom have told me about what they've played and the experience they have had. Now, I'm hoping as we get closer towards EGX, they might actually have some infantry gameplay at some of the booths, and I'll be able to talk about the actual infantry combat, because of course at Gamescom at the moment it's only the aerial superiority kind of mode that they're playing, and maybe then during September I will actually be able to comment on the infantry without being restricted by NDA, so hopefully that time will come very soon. But essentially today we're going to discuss the 3 points that I mentioned. So the first big point is the filthy casual kind of topic, and obviously this has arisen because most people who are going to be playing Star Wars Battlefront are likely Battlefield players, and obviously we expect a certain amount of squad-based gameplay, tacticality and things like that. And obviously this game features third person and from the trailers seems very simplistic in nature, and many have raised concerns as well about the lock-on during the aerial combat too. Now, it's no question or doubt that DICE are trying to broadly appeal to a wider audience here. Now, what you have to remember is that this game is supposed to be the kind of game where they're aiming for those who have never touched a console or PC to go out and buy one and get Star Wars Battlefront. That's their target audience, because there are millions upon millions of Star Wars fans who probably haven't played video games quite significantly, but are looking at Battlefront with a certain amount of interest, and it's piquing them to probably go get a console. Now, retrospectively, that means that the game is very much pick up and play in nature. However, what you have to remember is that this is DICE, and they are pretty ace at design when it comes to finding depth within simplicity. Now, the game actually has a very fast pace and moves very quickly, which means the most accurate people and the shooters who are really out there and know their abilities and use them well within their rights will actually be the most successful on the battlefield, because essentially, although the game seems very simple, we have the option to make it as intricate as we want to be. You can guarantee by the time the game comes out, you're going to see weapon reviews and all these kind of things talking about how to use this gun and what's the best tactics, because that's exactly what DICE will do. It's how the weapon mechanics work in pretty much every game that they make. So that will be there. But one thing I feel people are forgetting about quite a lot is the ability to spawn on a partner and quite easily work with teammates in squad-based gameplay. This is very much plausible, although there is no squad system and you can only spawn on a partner from what we've seen in the trailers and IGN and everything they've spoken about. There is the option to go and find your teammates if you're in a party or on TeamSpeak or something and work together. But what makes this very interesting and quite versatile to a point where people have actually not really looked into is the card system. Now, the card system allows you to choose your own abilities but also collect ones that you find scattered around the battlefield. And that means that essentially if you have an entire squad of very versatile players who have very different card setups, all having their own abilities fine-tuned for specific situations, you're going to have almost a class system in-game, if you know what I mean. You're going to have the kind of guy who's an explosive guy, he's got all the abilities to blow shit up. You've got the other guy who's a shielding type of guy who can defend people. You know, there's a very broad array of options here that will allow players to make this game as detailed and have as much depth as they want it to have, provided they work together and get in the field and play very tactically. It seems very plausible that the card system is actually going to make for some very interesting engagements, and I felt like that was very much underlooked from a lot of videos that I've seen online. Next up is the visuals, and everybody keeps asking if the trailers are brushed up or look better than the actual game. Now, this may be hard to believe, but the game actually looks better than what you've seen. Now, YouTube compression hasn't really done Star Wars Battlefront any favours, but I have to say, from what other people have been telling me and from what I've seen on YouTube, and I've also downloaded some raw footage from like uber high quality, the game does look fantastic and is probably the best looking game you will see on a next generation console, and the reason behind that is purely on the basis that the older gen is not involved, so the Frostbite engine is pushing as much boundaries as it wants, and it looks fantastic. It finally feels like the full potential of Frostbite is being unlocked, and I can only imagine what Battlefield 5 is going to look like, because if it's running on that kind of graphical engine, oh, we are going to be in such a treat. I don't know, it's going to be so good, you know. Third and finally, people have been debating about the amount of content that is in the game, whether it will be deemed acceptable. Now, what you need to remember is that this isn't another Battlefront installment. This isn't Battlefront 3 or Battlefront 4. This is an entire reboot. This is a complete redirection of Star Wars Battlefront. This isn't going to be another game based off of the previous titles. This is a re-envisioned version of it. Now, some features will be dropped. That is somewhat anticipated with any kind of reboot, and some features will be gained. Essentially, it's a complete revamp. Now, you can weigh it up however you want, but essentially, I imagine the features dropped will match the features gained. Now, the Star Wars universe is huge, and I think we can safely say that DICE will explore all kinds of content to include in the game and add as the future progresses of the title and the lifespan kind of goes on. But what we do know is that there already is an extensive array of aerial vehicles, maps, and modes to play. So, in the aspects of content, I'm pretty hopeful, and I know DICE have learned from previous games and some other EA titles that they've seen released recently, that throwing out as much content as you can will make people as very happy at launch. So overall, I feel very happy about Battlefront, very solid about the game, and it will feature on my channel. But what I want to know is how you guys feel about the title, so I really want to get talking in the comment section below, so please hit that comment section down there with your ideas and your questions, and I just want to get a good discussion going as to what you guys feel about Star Wars Battlefront, because I haven't really seen many opinions beyond the ones that I've watched on YouTube. So guys, as always, it's been me, TheTacticalBrit. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon in another video.